important, but you never have to flesh everything out.
Yeah.
And sometimes like when you're coming up with the character, as much as you try not to have it be this way, it's sort of one-dimensional. And it's not until you play it that you're like, okay, I'm like slipping into the skin suit of this character, and I kind of
or
like,
you
am
have
figuring out
ideas,
who
right?
they are, you know.
And then you change them based on how you're interacting with like everyone else, and you're like, oh, this isn't gonna work. I'll do this instead, or whatever.
I think the main thing with Adelward was that I joined in not knowing what to expect really with Godforged, because it's not like I had time to watch every episode before to catch up. So I didn't know exactly the extent of what was expected of like a character, what I should have prepared. So I kind of just did what felt right based off of my previous experience with D&D, which was one other campaign. And then by the time that it was like, man, I feel like I should probably have more, we were like rolling into the final fight with like Magnetor and stuff, and I was like, I'll probably just let the cast have like, you know, do their thing, because I am the character that came in late to the show. So I like, there was also a part of me that's like, I don't really want to like add a bunch of like extra details when it doesn't really feel necessary to Adelward to have those to begin with, because it doesn't change his character whether or not those exist or not, you know?
And someone also asked as well, like, did the Lokovat exist before you joined? Like, no. Tomorrow said I want to play a Penguin Man, so we made a Penguin Man race, and that's most of D&D. I feel like is like just designing stuff as you go, and seeing what makes sense later into the game.
Yeah, I remember you briefing me and being like, "So you and Tomato are probably going to be enemies at the start."
Yeah.
Because I've decided that your race eats his, and I was like, "Okay, we'll roll with that."
We had to do this thing where like I was like, okay, then I've got to separate. There's other types of Krigven, because it wouldn't make sense for Sam to go around eating these Lokovat because he's already established his character. So we had these kind of civilized, more like Eastern kind of Krigven that were built into fire giants, hill giants, stone giants. And what it led to is the Western ones would become. I was like, okay, well, why are they a little bit more savage? Why are they a little bit more like in tune with just kind of going after this like hunting of other sentient beings, etc. And the idea was the giants kind of keeping them as kind of an anchor. They were the storm giants, Krigven, and the storm giants left quite a while ago. And so they just kind of gone back into this feral form, because what is obviously revealed later is the Krigven was like a were curse. And so I didn't want to touch on making like, it was a weird kind of mix of the Lokovat need to see the Krigven as enemies, but Sam can't, if it was way too retconny to make you feel like you are their direct enemy. So it was kind of a cool little like, Adelward viewed you as one of the more savage ones, but you turned out to be a good example.
I remember we kind of came up with that on the fly in RP too, because I was like, you eat me, and I was like, I don't eat you, other Krigven eat you, and then we were like, oh, okay, we have to figure that out. But yeah, back to the backstory thing. I think like there's also like every DM is different, and I've played with a lot of DMs, and some DMs aren't super welcoming of like a deep backstory because it kind of interferes with their vision, whereas you are having played with you now, like the total opposite. Like you'll be like, give me as much as you can, and I'll just build my world around it. Which is super cool, but kind of rare. So that's again, why I as a person, I didn't write a backstory really for at all, because I was like, it's the first time I'm DMing with Joe. I don't know what he's comfortable with. I'm just gonna go in blank slate and then like figure it out. So
I think a lot of my DMing for that stuff is inspired by like Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Like my favorite things about those games is pursuing the companion backstory, and to me, like that's kind of what that is. So it just, I feel like it feels like a proper RPG then.
Absolutely.
Georgia.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you go.
Something that I was gonna say that is like kind of in line with what Sam was saying anyway is I think like when we were talking about me potentially coming on to guest and then I just never left.
Actually, just to interrupt you on that, because initially you were invited to be part of the main one, but obviously Clark was, I think, very, very young at the time. It was a super hard, difficult thing, and you couldn't do it, and then Sam could
take on a game. Yeah. Yes, that's true. I was asked at the start, and I said no. And then Joe was like, maybe as a guest? I was like, yeah, okay, I could do a guest.
Stick around.
And then he was like, or maybe just don't leave. And I was like, yeah, all right, I won't leave.
Sorry, I interrupted you. I just wanted to confirm.
No, it's fine. But like, that's so true. Like, you were like, you can be anything, even stuff that isn't in the world yet, and we'll just like figure it out. and we landed on the Lago, which was like a homebrew race at that time because the Herringon weren't in the game. And it was just me and Joe DMing like messaging back and forth like, okay, so what are the Lago? What is their society like? Where do they live? Like, you know, all of this stuff. And I never sent you a backstory because we just sort of created it together.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was really fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I still have like massive fond memories of the first session you were here where we were DMing each other whilst Fabio was stealing from the party and they're freaking out.
Find
It was so
her,
fun.
like,
It was such a fun
I look under
moment.
the bed. I look in the hallway.
Yeah.
So good.
It was a great bit. For you, Dodger, did Fabio's time in the Feywild change them? After enough time, would they become something akin to a Fey or even an Archfey?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I think the implication of Fabia's epilogue is that the longer the Lagos stay in the Feywild, they become Fey creatures because that's what they were originally. So much like when they left the Feywild, they slowly over time became more and more like naturalized to where they were. They would revert if they were in the Feywild for long enough. And Fabia had essentially like not stopped aging, but was aging really slowly. So she would have spent who knows how much time there. So I don't know. I don't know that she would have any interest in being an archfey if that was on the table. But given enough time, I think
just so people coming in, they're like, what the fuck's happening? I had a 2.5-year D&D campaign. It ended like 2 weeks ago. We're just doing an epilogue Q&A. I'm talking about the game and the characters and stuff. It probably lasts like an hour. And then afterwards, we're going to do my summer car. Okay?
Needed. Like, the Feywild is not necessarily... It's a hierarchy there. And there are Archfey, but it's not necessarily... Striving for power is not necessarily like your main momentum there.
What the fuck is that summer car emote? Oh, no.
Renowned thieves.
Fabia, like, what are the job responsibilities?
Yeah. Do I have to like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were the hints about the 10th hell being the real big bad evil guy? I've spoken about these before, but obviously in the group shot in the background, you could see the person with the rod. I knew that when I was first going there. Here's a fun little tidbit actually. That shot, it was the artist that designed the color for on Mythos. And I just rolled with it. I was like, okay, I want this background. I want the forge there. I've got this cool idea for the ending with like a tiefling stood on a hill with like a kind of a rod. And I didn't really know how I was going to do the portals. At first, I was like, what if it was their bodies breaking apart and like the portal was inside them and stuff? I didn't know. But then I was like, okay, I really would love like a looming dragon. And when they gave me the colored version, they just colored it purple. And I was like, oh, well, they've done so much work. You know, there's no purple dragons in here. I'll make it work. And so I designed off Mythos off of that. But but that was the first kind of obvious one there. Other than that, when they fought against the Time Lady, there was a moment where you guys saw a potential future with devils invading. There was some stuff with Zalfel early on.
There was the way to get to the 10th hell was ripped out of his book. And we took that as Zalfel's hiding in the 10th hell and he's hidden the way there. But it was actually the 10th hell is forbidden.
Yeah, exactly. And something that was later gleamed is that Zalfel was the one that hired the mercenaries that showed up at the battle. So that's also why he's got the kind of access. But the reason that the page was missing is it was sold to the cultists so that they could achieve their goal. And then obviously meeting those cultists when you went between the two realms, between Wolfguard and Fjordhelm, those cultists were like an early thing. So there's a bunch of little mini signs like that. I'm sure there's a couple more I've completely forgotten about. But for the most part, it was just kind of... It wasn't something that I think anyone should have picked up on, but it was there as a little Easter egg after you'd finished the campaign to go, okay, I get it. Because I didn't want to I didn't want anyone to feel dumb that you didn't pick up on it. It was so vague and so kind of, minute.
Dude, some of the planning shit you did was crazy to me because I think a lot of our sessions were just ad-libbed by you. but then there was like some key moments that were like such a fucking long con, and I would like pull my hair out afterwards. Like, who was it that we had as a guest?
Even the vouching, like
with the Sabertooth
from the start.
Oh, Sko. Yeah,
it was
Sko.
When Sko came and he jumped into the time portal, and then you were like, does anyone want to follow him? And then like 55 episodes later, we have this fight, and this creature comes out of the portal, and it's the same creature. And we're like, holy shit. So
yeah. That was a really fun one. I remember when I designed that, I was like, I've had this idea of like, you fight the end of a boss that you're fighting later into the campaign early, and it's weakened. And so, it was the amalgamation kind of thing came through the portal. You guys kill it thinking, this is just some sort of time monster. And then later on, fighting the time lady, she turns into that creature. And it was
the thing is, we didn't even essentially kill it. I banished half of it.
Yeah.
It's still...
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Still
Somewhere.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay.
Joe,
that was really fun. Okay, well, segue.
Slime, thank you for the 5 gift subs, and Panzer.
Was there any unforgettable moments of Godforged for each of you, or anything? Any moments that made you laugh the most, or moments that made you the most emotional? Like, what's some of your favorite moments?
Oh my god, Joe made me.
And it says here, by the way, not including "Get Over Yourself," Affy.
Yeah,
That's
of course
no
not. That's the most
Illegal.
iconic one. Oh my god, I'll start. Joe made me cry a lot in this campaign, but especially when Basil got to meet his mom, I was like sobbing.
Really sweet.
It was like cathartic in a way that I didn't know would hit me so hard. I guess because I played Basil for 2 years, I was like very invested, and so it just felt very much like I was experiencing it firsthand. It was great.
Yeah.
It was so well done.
Really
You
good.
did such a fucking great job.
Your mum figure. I remember someone said in the chat as well, or in like a post comment, was like, why didn't they try and restore her vision? And it was something that I've obviously I've learned as a person in real life over the last few years, and over the last like half decade, is the idea of like the kind of ableism behind every illness needs to be cured. And for your mum, for me, it was a case of like, no, she was born with this. Like, this is not a disability to her. She sees through song. She sees the world totally different to someone else, and it kind of has this kind of almost beautiful connection to music, and that's what led her to create someone like Basil, and kind of went down that road. But that was a really fun story to tell, because it was a long time, like it was never like a priority story for the pie, because it wasn't world ending. It was just a sweet kind of way of just like self discovery. So I sat on that one for a long time. It was fun,
Bro.
But technically not since the beginning.
I was power walking back because because literally after that session, I DM'd Joe like, I cannot believe I'm still so fucked up over the fact that Basil is a song.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, I had
That
no
was
fucking
such a
idea. That was insane.
Good reveal. That was amazing.
It was really good.
There was a time where
core.
Bree played the College of Law Bard, and I was like, and then the College of Creation came out. I was like, oh my god, Bree would love that. And I messaged you about it. I was like, hey, if you do want to change, you can. And you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, if it's easy to do. I was like, let's do it then. And I remember it was just after the Blue Arc. I was like, oh my god, maybe the reason she can see it is what if Basil was a song? And then kind of come with this whole thing. And I've been sat on it for so damn long. I was like, this would be really fun to play into here and there.
So fucking good, dude.
It was really fun. It was really fun.
PG, thank you for the bits.
Anyone else?
Resignate,
Any
thank
other
you for 10
moments
gift
like
subs,
you
man. That's
wanted
very
to
kind. I appreciate it.
talk about, like funny, sad, or even just unforgettable?
I loved that it was Advent, right? That was like totally improvised.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
I
was so
adore.
good.
I love
All
that
of
we
it.
were on a ship and you offhandedly were like, and over there, you know,
Yeah.
like a tour guide over there,
Yep.
you can see Advent. And at the same time, all of us were like, can we get
Let's
there?
go there.
Yeah.
Can we take
Yeah.
the boat and get there?
Yeah.
And we didn't know until later that in the back of Joe's mind, he was like, please don't fucking
Joe,
go
did
there.
Joe, did
was like,
Zalfile exist before that? You made him up.
God.
Yeah,
I
Holy
remember
that.
shit.
That
Yeah.
stuff, that
That's
whole
amazing.
arc being there,
You can't
that was
tell,
all
right?
so good.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
So
it was
good.
huge Baldur's Gate 3 vibes.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
We
So
got there, and he
good.
was like, the banquet of food and the devil, and he's like,
Yeah.
come closer. And I was like, he's gonna try and like prey on like the weaker people
Yep.
in the party. It's good, dude.
No, Advent was there as a I wrote this little thing in the backstory of Humans that when they first arrived, they came there, and one of my ideas for writing a world backstory is if you design a timeline, then you have something for like lords and ladies and stuff to reference, and then it'll help you build out like just history into the world. You don't have to make it complex. You just have to have like events, like even if it's just the Battle of Tucamoon, and someone brings that up at some point, it makes it sound like there's depth. And Advent was always just this place in my little timeline, which was that's where humans first arrived, and some humans fucked up and summoned devils in a civil war, and they accidentally summoned devils and demons, and it caused a little civil war there, and they lost the war because of that. And that was the only thing I had written for that place. And I was like, oh, that's cool. They'll sail past this cursed city, and it'll just be a cool backdrop. And you guys like, let's go. I'm like, oh shit, what would Advent? So whilst you're sailing over there, I'm doing extra descriptions of like, and then the gates of this. Whilst in the back of my head, I'm going, okay, so what would have survived? Would anything have survived?
Described.
Like, is there anything here? Why haven't people gone here? Adventurers surely have gone here. And, I had to work it all out then. But
God damn.
I was pleased with that as a thing. Obviously,
it's like truly a testament, I think, to you as a DM that you like
Absolutely.
on the fly made that, and we all enjoyed it.
You're
so
extremely,
much.
you're extremely yes
so
and.
good.
So it's really
Yeah,
fun.
your improv
that's very
is
kind.
And
great.
sometimes we can tell when we've got you on the ropes, and we'll push.
Yeah.
We'll push harder.
Which is
Yeah, for
very
sure.
fun, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my favorite.
I can tell.
Like you'll
my
forget the name of an NPC, and we're like, go. It's time. Like go for the throat.
that's like Sada.
think-
Fucking Lieutenant Sada fucked me up. I'll never forget that one with
That is a really good one. And Gary and Harrion.
Yeah,
Oh
that
my
one.
God,
That I still don't know. If you
was
ask me
Gary, and
now
I
which
don't
one,
know.
I don't know. Yeah,
I know. It was Garion, okay. I think that like it is first of all, I receive an immense amount of joy from tripping you up. Absolutely,
Yeah.
I do, and I'm sorry. But I'm
No, I can
also
tell.
not gonna change it because I can't. But I think that in the back of my head, I'm always like, okay, I know Joe pretty well. What kind of story would he write? Like, I'm always guessing, right? There's always that part of my brain, because that's how I read books. That's how I watch movies. That's how I watch TV shows. Like, what would the writers do, right? So I'm always trying to figure out, like, what does Joe think is cool? Because then I think I know where the story is going. And so when there are those moments of, like when you were, like when we went to go to Cassell, and he's like, I'm your dad. And I was like, what? Like, that was not at all any part of the back. Like, that actually did surprise. You know what I mean? So, like, when there were those moments that I was like, holy shit, what? Like, that, I think those were always, like, the standout things for me.
Yeah.
Was that kind of stuff.
Is there any other moments, or should I ask another question?
Ask away.
Okay. Let me look what we got. What were some of the other quests you had prepared for some of the towns that you didn't get to show up during the campaign? I actually think it only happened once. I can just quick fire that one. There was a Yeti quest. That was the only one, I think. Because, I mean, I technically would wrote, like, what I would do is if you go to a town, I'm usually in the back of my mind going, okay, how long is this episode going to be? The good cutoff point is usually when you're just about to go and do the quest, and then I'll go and develop that quest in the week. So if I've timed it well, then you'll get your bounty board, you'll probably hang out in a town, and then you go to leave to pursue the quest, and I can go and design that quest in the week. So that happens a few times where there'll be some forgotten ones there. But the Yeti, I remember I went and developed because I was like, okay, yeah, they want to kill a Yeti. And I came up with this little epic battle against a Yeti, and I made the map and everything. And you guys heard about like, well, we'll go after a Yeti anyway. And he moved on immediately. I was like, okay, cool. And I had that Yeti map throughout the entire campaign in one of my like pre-made maps. Just
in case.
What if they go back to the Yeti though, dude? At some point they might. But that was the only one that comes up to my mind.
Is that our one shot? Or the 21?
Yeah, you're going to Yeti, yeah.
Guys, I've heard about this Yeti. We gotta take care of it. It's been roaming the countryside forever.
Yeah. I'll do a little quick fire down the other questions to you guys. Bree, what would Basil do to the deck of many things after settling down? Would he trust it to someone else?
I would never trust it to anyone else ever. I feel
what do
like
you mean, dude? You can trust me.
I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he would have created a failsafe item that if the deck of many things ever ended up legendary, failsafe item, if it ever ended up in anyone else's hands, it would automatically like get destroyed or teleport to a different dimension or like something. What we would have worked something out, Joe. To make it like a fail safe of like, but he would probably honestly carry it on his person, like because he just would be so paranoid about.
Do you think Basil was too overreactive about the deck of many things, given that of the 3 things we saw happen out of it, 2 were amazing? I don't know, like
you.
No, because I tell myself like, why is Basil so afraid of the deck of many things when like the worst thing that happened was like her friend lost his wallet. Like his friend lost his wallet.
He lost everything. First of all,
but we know, we established right that in character we know what the deck is.
We heard
stories.
So Basil is like looking at the worst case scenarios as a morally good character. Of course, he's going to be like, "Why the fuck do you want to attempt this? Why are you playing with fire here?" Arguably, besides Timothy, probably one of the most morally good characters of the group. He felt like he would die to stop someone from drawing another card. Like that was like the hardest line we ever encountered in the campaign.
It was
for
a
Basil.
super tense conversation.
I had a lot
right?
of like emotional bleed through because it was really hard for me to role play him getting upset about it and also not like feel like I was upset too.
Yeah.
Because like I too am like I want to know what's in there, but I feel like I can't. Obviously.
For sure.
Yeah, I wanted to know what was in there too, but Fia would never.
I did not want to
ever draw that.
And
she would have said exactly what she said, right? Which is that it's irresponsible to do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But for sure, I wanted to be like
that conversation also had a trickle down conversation that happened, right? With Basil or Bree rather about like is the team going to keep going in a direction that is not good that Basil's going to be like, I can't travel with these people anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like a good question to ask about your character if you feel like you are always at odds with all the other characters. Like, would this person even stay, you know?
Yeah. Basil was reaching a point where he probably would have walked away, actually. Like, because of the general tone of certain things in the group at the time, too. It felt like we were not good people. Like, and that's, like, so anti, like, what he is about. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like...
You were bad.
I feel like Scott was a good person that just presented his goodness in a different way. So, it's like, you're, like... consider everyone around you, and whereas he's like he believes in like doling out justice, right? Or like on bad things to protect good things.
That's not good.
Well, I was also gonna say that got Basil killed. He actually picked that up from you guys, the seeking revenge and justice. And he wouldn't have gotten in that situation.
Right.
That is why I pushed Basil to that point in the roleplay of like doing something really reckless and getting himself killed, because he learned that from you guys. 1000%.
Yeah. I mean, Scott's perspective was if I get power from this, I can protect people. If a bad thing happens to me, it doesn't impact anyone else. So it was just like, why not take a card? But
makes sense.
That was it was definitely I could tell how much you were struggling with it as a player. So it was an interesting situation.
It's a hard one. Well, especially knowing again that there are cards in there that literally like potentially could put the worst person in power, could potentially ruin the world. Like it's kind of like the would you press a button to get $1 million if it kills someone?
Right.
Like dilemma, right? Like it doesn't. It's just feels like even if even with the deck, even if you got the best cards,
the player conflict situations are always like touch and go, but sometimes they make some of the best RP, like if you can weather the storm. But like it's definitely one of those situations where it's like I feel like I need to get this item out of the hands of someone else in the group because the decisions they're making affect all of us, and then they want to make them selfishly because it's what their character would do, and then you end up kind of getting over that. But I think like Basil and Timmy had like a really good scene off the back of that as well. That was like one of my favorite scenes. So
yeah, definitely.
To you, Dodger, would you have been tempted to be? Would you have been tempted to side with the Queen of Hearts? And I guess this is one to me. What would her powers be like for the legendary item, for the legacy item?
I was curious what the power would be.
Yo, Anon, thank you for the 10 gifts, man. Appreciate it.
Ever siding with authority.
Yeah, right.
Like, man. Thank you.
I can't imagine a scenario in like. Somebody would have had to intercept her really early on before she met all of the like scrappy weirdos. Having her meet the scrappy weirdos up front, she was like, well, yeah, these are my people, right?
Yeah. I think the way that you might have sided was one thing I was revealing later on, which I was, because obviously Skull died to this card deck. and it comes across as silly because the characters were wacky and ridiculous. So I always felt bad because I was like, oh no, look, I don't want to down full scold as like you've killed all of these crazy monsters and you're dying to this like little like jack of hearts.
God, and then you died to a fucking pack of cards.
But what that pack of cards was genuinely was like God's gift. It was technically one of the hardest fights you'd ever had in the campaign. And it was there's a character called the Dealer who is my god that designs all of the decks of many things. Like D&D's officially releasing a book to give more backstory to the deck of many things at the end of the year, and so I'm curious to see what their perspective is. But it didn't really have one, so I was like, okay, who's making all these decks? Like, who just makes a deck and leaves it somewhere? And that's where I came up with this Dealer character. And so with the Feywild, I was like, okay, what if they had purchased a deck? And like, I imagine to purchase a deck, you have to trade something ridiculous, like a 10,000 gold diamond or something to a god to get that response. So it was what would have been offered to you, Fabio, would have been a deal from the Dealer, who would have been like, you can have this deck and would change it up for you, and this will be your legacy item, but it's a god's gift. And so it'd be less of dealing with authority of like a queen and more of like creating this kind of deck that serves you as kind of a protection racket almost.
Would the Dealer have become my patron?
I think I would have left it up to you if you'd wanted it. Yeah. And I think it would have been a good time to link that in because of your animosity towards Lucky straight afterwards. Yeah. So it would have been like a good time. Yeah, I probably would have developed it into, I mean, it was late into the campaign, but early enough that we could, like, the Dealers always had, I want to make a homebrew kind of subclass. So you use the Dealer as your patron, and in real life you have a deck of cards with you, and you play a Warlock. When you draw your card and you place it down, it does a different effect. So it's kind of like a random table. And we could have maybe developed something like that. But yeah, I think it would have been clear if you'd met him first somehow that the Dealer would be the one dealing with you. And we'd change up the deck to attune to you instead. Yeah.
Yeah, I think... yeah, just the way that the interactions went on the way to the palace, it felt pretty clear cut from Fabio's perspective. Yeah. If the interactions had felt a little bit more like I don't trust any of these people that I'm meeting, like I think they're lying to me, sort of a thing, there might have been more of a question of like, what am I going to do when I get to the palace, you know? So,
and I would have had a thing with if you'd gone down that dark road, because I could never tell, it would have been the Mad Hatter would have been the final boss in that section, and you'd have fought against all of those guys. But like I pretty much knew you'd probably go with the other side. It was just there as an option.
Yeah, that's cool.
In case.
Did you give? Because I know a few of us had. Sorry, this is a question off the back of that. I know a few of us had like 2 options for what a legacy item could be. Did everybody have like 2 possibilities that you had planned for, or?
It came up closer to the time. I knew Fear. I was like, okay, I don't know which side OG wants to go down, rather vampire or dragon. And so that came down to literally me asking you, like around the time of Cassell, like, is this what you want to pursue? And then you said, like, no, I want to look into the dragon side. If you'd gone down that section, it would have been more about drinking different blood, gives you different power, all that kind of stuff, and then gone down into vampirism. Shane had one early on, which was a workshop item, and I was going to turn it into more of a. Honestly, I was like, Shane fucking loves Minecraft. How can I design like this crazy ass Minecraft looking item into Timothy? Because at that point you didn't have the mother story, and as soon as you get the mother story, I was like, no, this is not the legacy item. This cannot be the legacy item. That we got to find something around the mother character, and so that changed up. But by that point, I kind of had the idea. You gave me this armor idea, and I was like, no, it has to be that. Scold was too early on to really think about it. Like Sam very much got the prototype idea. That's why his got super boosted later on. And I think Basil, I knew that it would be inherently into the song. But then obviously for Tomato, Adderwood's one, he had the offer right there, and I had both developed.
There was. I remember when you explained because you told me the full mechanics of the alternative after, and to me it looked like, because like one of the things for the one that he didn't take was that like I'd be able to make my own magic items essentially, like we would be able to work. So like I always assumed that like that kind of went in like a sense into Basil's with like being able to create stuff that way, because I was like, oh, it's such a waste that we didn't get the chance. Like that was the thing with taking the elemental one, was because I was like, damn, that was a really cool thing that it's a waste that we don't get the chance to like play around with that kind of stuff.
I think it wasn't even necessarily a conscious thought, but like sometimes when you're DMing, you're like, I've got this idea for a character here or an item, and it doesn't go up, and you're like, maybe I'll rework it into something else and make it come up in like a different way. Like I think it could be really fun, so you don't miss out on it for sure. I think that probably did happen there.
Yo, we never opened that fucking puzzle box. What was in that?
We did.
Did we?
You did.
We opened it like so casually. And like,
oh yeah, because I remember you had like you power game like a super roll for your.
Yeah, we had like 8 different buffs on me, and I did it in one, dude. No problem.
I made a puzzle box opener helper.
Yeah, I remember now.
Legendary item.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was Varthix. Varthix was inside with all the diamonds as well.
We needed everything at the end. That was like getting Varthix.
Yeah,
was a
we did.
Good shot at the end of the campaign.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Varthix was kind of just like this hidden away character for ages inside the box. I didn't know if you'd all forget about it by the end.
I kept forgetting about it.
I forgot where he came from.
Because I never had it on my sheet.
It
was like, we lost it in the session we got it to a fucking guest. And then we had to hunt it down.
Oh, that's right. Oh my god.
Just like, it was just never like on any of our like stats or like any of the sheets in Roll20, and it just kept disappearing from my mind until like I see someone like, it would either come up in conversation or someone chat like, what's up with that puzzle box? And I'd be like, fuck,
dude, our characters had so much stuff at the end. I was like discovering stuff about my character in the last fight. I was because I was going through all my shit and I was like, wait, I can do this every turn. Like I was just like looking at shit and being like, oh, I never even used this.
Yeah.
Like there was just so much stuff.
I mean, I've never had a character get to this high of a level.
Yeah.
I've never had to juggle this. And Joe's also really good about being like, here's a magical item that's like really good for you. And you're like, amazing. I hope I can do this justice.
Yeah.
It's
Bree and I literally had a stream together where we like
you did.
Because we were like, please God, I know that I'm missing like 50% of what I'm supposed to be doing here.
Yeah,
that's
precisely.
There's so many points where you just like go down your character sheet and like reopen like an old block, and you realize you didn't remember an entire mechanic. Like, for the longest time, I thought that Adelward's sliding coat thing was something you'd only do, like, proficiency bonus times per day. So I was always like, I better use this carefully. You just do it whenever. It was an unlimited resource. Like, there's just so many weird little, like, you know, fine print things.
I could have avoided death. Like, let's not even.
That I think is the biggest,
most embarrassing. That's a classic Bree moment.
Yeah,
but
the
RP
story,
was so juicy,
dude. The RP, I love a good like depressing arc. Man, I'm here for it.
Oh yeah,
it's good shit.
Gestures at epilogue. I love that.
Tomorrow, your depressing arc was 150 episodes long, man. You wrote it out.
It's true.
Okay. OG, why did Thea fly to Winterfell, and what did she hope to find there?
So I think that was something that that Joe and I talked about before the epilogue, obviously, and sometimes as a player of a streamed game, I think you become very conscious of how long the episode has been going on already, and stuff like that. And so there are often times where you don't say all the things that maybe you were gonna say or whatever. And so that is something that we had talked about. Winterfell is well, I don't know. Do you want to say what Winterfell is, Joe?
Winterfell. Actually, one other fun little tidbit is Dodger almost DM'd in Winterfell. Early on.
That's true.
I was like, hey, look, this continent's kind of like an empty continent with lots of lore to be written there if you want to take it. Winterfell is essentially where the dragons flew from when they first came over before the Godforged was made, before they ran into giants. It was where they migrated from. And it's also where humanity came from many years later, or at least the humanity we know in Velreath. It's kind of this very mysterious continent, and there was always this hidden idea. And I won't spoil, not necessarily nailed down again when you design kind of other continents. You don't necessarily come up with all the story, but there's an idea I have of
Ori Monster, thank you so much for the 20 gift subs, man. That's really kind of you. Appreciate
the
it.
basis of this continent. What would cause 20 odd dragons.
You guys are gonna let the timer end though, right? After my summer
somewhere,
car,
and
and I can just go home
somewhere. So that was the basis for that content.
right, guys?
Someone in chat said, Winter Fair is where the Twilight and Peppa Pig ones are.
Yeah.
They're somewhere.
Yes, that's what we're talking
It's
about.
true.
Maybe DMing. Yes,
absolutely
you're right.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's obviously that's why she wanted to go to Winter Fair, right? She wanted to know. I think she was in a weird position where, much like Basil, which like actually most of us, I guess, right? She was gonna outlive her husband. She's gonna outlive her kids and her grandkids, right? And as kind of all over the place as she was, one of the through lines for her is that, she wanted everyone to accept her, and she wanted, to kind of prove that she had worth and whatever. And I think the last thing she would ever want to do is be that weird mom that just keeps hanging out like with her kids and her grandkids and her she would not have been able to like chill and do that, right? She already had no chill. And so in these kind of conversations she had with the other dragons, they were like, oh yeah, Winter Fair, whatever. And Joe and I had talked about there being another dragon who didn't really come up in the campaign.
That's true.
And so the idea is, and this is part that, like I said, kind of got glossed over because I was like, dude, this has been a long time. We would just read this part up. The idea is that she left with this other dragon, and they both went to Winter Fair together.
Yeah,
and
it was specifically a bloodline dragon. Not like a full-fledged dragon. The concept was that when you were speaking to your grandmother, and we were talking about the epilogue, we had this idea for what if there were other? Why would your family line be the only one that survived that? Coming from the red dragons, and there was an idea for coming from the green dragons. Green being very kind of cunning and clever. They would hide away their eggs. They would hide away some of their species, and so I came with this concept of and I had this idea for a while that there'd be a dragon. Draconic bloodline sorcerer, if you'd ever gone to Halig's Mouth, which was a city northwest, and the only time that city was ever brought up was Cadven on the road was traveling down from Halig's Mouth and said he just bought a bunch of furniture and stuff, right? And the furniture store owner was going to be a draconic bloodline sorcerer, and it was one of my links to giving you guys a hint towards Cadven. Really was like, of course, he's trading with a dragon. But because that city never came up, I remembered this character, and I was like, oh, maybe that's one that also your grandmother would know, and then link you to them. So a distant relative.
Mikhail,
to
thank you for the 5
dragons,
gift subs, man. You need to cease.
To Winterfell. Also trying to discover the past and the heritage.
And then obviously Fia brought Tack so that she could send video to Basil.
Yeah.
About what was going on for as long as they could, right? For as long as they could stay in touch.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Basil is amazing.
Would Timmy have ever sought immortality?
Absolutely not. Timmy saw immortality as a tragedy more than anything, as you outlive all of your loved ones. That's why he restored his mother's body from an automaton, so she wouldn't have to deal with that.
Do you know what? That's one of my favorite things that happened because it was a juxtaposition to everyone else's story.
Yeah,
like Fabia saying goodbye to her brother figure and not understanding why he doesn't want to live longer. Fia outliving everyone. Basil outliving everyone. Scold immortal in his own kind of plane, and Adderward outliving everyone. The idea that Timmy was the only person that did the opposite, was just content with mortality and also wanted to give his mother mortality. That was very sweet.
It was really sweet.
Yeah.
You're sick nasty.
Sam.
I'm so tired, dude.
I'm sorry.
I'm on day 10, man. I'm a mess.
Yeah. When Scold was transformed into a devil, what would he have looked like if he had picked a different hell? Would devil worship become a problem with the Krigven, given that their most beloved leader turned into one?
Well, Scold always had this affinity for fire and ice, because it was the idea of they were a race of cold-dwelling creatures that loved the forge and the fire giants and the flame, and it was they had this juxtaposition. So it really would have just been swapping blue glowing runes for red. It was a pretty straightforward swap, and it was really, I didn't expect us to land in the cold plane at all, but it was kind of perfect. We had talked about because Joe was like, "What if? Do you want to roll, or do you want me to like assign you one?" And then we also talked about the possibility of actually getting the 10th hell as the respawn and becoming a Silver Devil. And what would that look like? And I was like, no, I want to just roll the dice and do it like legit, and we'll see what we get. And then, we ended up with that one. But yeah, I don't think it would have changed much. What was the second part of that question?
Would the Krigven?
Oh, would the Krigven have worship devils essentially?
That Skold's entire thing was, if I'm gonna take this dark road so that my friends can live out their days in peace, I don't want anyone to know. That was like my whole thing, and that was like the reason he stayed behind. So I think he would have done everything in his power to avoid that, and it's like why he was in their presence. He was like using disguise self and stuff towards the end because he just didn't want them to see that kind of stuff. But I was very conscious of that as a player and was trying to avoid it. But, yeah.
Tomorrow, how did Holm react to the appearance of hundreds of Adderwards? Did the Dugs bully them?
Oh boy, I'd love to say that Adelward is so spiteful and fucking absolutely would have hassled Holm for the next 100 years. But I think that there's truly the factor of they did fulfill their end of the deal to help with the final fight. I don't think Adelward, he would have been busy with other shit.
Yeah.
I don't think he wanted to use all those Dugs as a bullying mechanism. That wasn't the point of them. And I'd like to think that Adelward grew up a little bit and didn't.
Also, I think wouldn't the Dugs would know their band too, right? Because they share your cognition.
That's
right.
fair.
So all the Dugs would know their band from that place.
Form a ring around it.
The forbidden fruit.
I'll quick fire some of the DM ones just to get them out of the way with. Someone was asking about what happened to the Battle Arena characters, but I honestly think, what if we ever use them again? Like, I think we.
Yeah, what happened to that one guy?
Randall. And then also the.
I don't even know what happened at the end of that session because it was.
Like, dude, they're all gone. They're all goddamn gone, man. I'm sure we'll revisit that story in like a later campaign as like a little funny one shot or something. We won't let it die there. Was the party able to convince Magnathorn to backing down? Yeah. I mean, like in my mind, I was like, okay, what if they speak to Magnathorn and go, hey, what if we go and deal with the 10th Hell? Or anything like that. You could have probably convinced him to do that. Though, sure, you can convince anyone of anything to an extent, but he's lived his entire life with a goal in mind to become a leader of pretty much the entire continent to protect the world. You'd have had to pull out some crazy ideas or like convince him of another way, but he was your enemy from the get-go. Like, I don't want to cheapen it by being like, and then we're all friends in the end.
If you only would have said the right thing,
like from
done Thanksgiving
player
dinner
and
together.
show perspective, like a lot of us were like, okay, this is a finale, like end of the line kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a lot of ways, despite it being built into D&D that you can persuade and attempt to have those dialogues, it would have taken away a little bit from it would have taken a lot of wind out of the sails of we've been building up to this big fight.
For sure.
Where sometimes when you're a charisma character, you have to read the room around you, be like, I can't just push it really hard even though I have the dice to back up what I'm saying.
And it's like the sure, you could try to push a mountain out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
The DC is 500.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you could try.
Exactly,
Do you know what I mean? So, sure, you could try to be like, but Magnathor, hang on, I've got a deal.
Yeah, you could have probably convinced him to give us a shot first against the 10th Hell before you conquer. But then I probably would have developed the idea of, okay, what if he's become so obsessed with the idea of leading that now he wants to lead still, and it's a case of that. So I think it would have also cucked you of a big fight. So I feel like it would have been.
I channeled that concept into Skuld at the end as well, because it was like, if he had stayed, then he would have just become the Magnathor to the Fire Giants. Like, they would have just been in service to him for all eternity, yada, yada, yada. And so, Skuld convinced himself that he had to leave. And it was, the same kind of thing. Like, I don't think he could have been talked out of it, or it would have been very hard to do so. But, yeah.
Building off that, I'll put these kind of into a condensed one. What would have happened if God's Bane would have failed to defeat the Archdevil? The outcome of the world and the characters, and what if they lost them against Magnathor? If Magnathor would have won against God's Bane and the Forge got destroyed, would he have had an easier or harder time stopping the 10th Hell? If they had lost in the end and they had a party wipe, it would have taken centuries before the 10th Hell conquers. Like the devils are talking about like that plan is a many millennia long one. So I'd imagine if we go into High Loma, you'd have been walking around the world hearing about this invading force that's slowly going across the western port of Westmourne, and it would have been this just kind of distant, scary link to it. So I think like we would have just rolled with the punches, and same with Magnathor. Like if he'd conquered, would he have had a better, easier time? Probably not. But his war would have been easier. His battle outside would have been easier, because whereas Godsbane went around trying to convince everyone to join, Magnathor would have forced them to join. And that was the difference between them. It was the idea of choice. Same with the question here, which was about like for the final battle, if a lot of people didn't decide to join you guys, would it have been a harder fight? Yeah, the outsider would have been only the reserves of the Westmourne soldiers, and they probably would have been wiped out. So, yeah, for sure. Did Escher Tolan get brought back by Timmy? I said we'd roll this one on stream. So if you want to load up Roll20, because technically Timmy went around using up all the diamonds. Yep. So we'll see. Leave it to the fates.
Not using up the diamonds because he didn't need to.
Sorry, yeah.
Didn't need them.
Yeah, not needing the diamonds, sorry.
Took that shit back.
It was just a flat wisdom roll, yeah.
She was the hot tiefling, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And on a 10 or over.
Fabia speaking through me. Right. I remember her.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that was close.
13. Escher Tolan would have come back.
Nice.
And joined the nation of Kessex until the end of her days. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Is there, for all of the Escher Tolan fans out there, is there any hope for Martin the Martini? Also, how proud were you for coming up with that? That was a fun little part I came up with, which they run with, which is like one of my favorite things about D&D in general, right? Is like when you come up with a little like shitty idea and then someone just attaches to it. Like Martin the Martini was just such a stupid little thing.
So funny.
It was so much fun.
Funny.
In Hell
was amazing.
just such a good time. Like
Yeah.
it was
It
just
was.
like back-to-back goofs.
I fucking died on drinking one of the drinks.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
amazing,
He
dude.
fucking died.
Yeah,
We
and
brought
like
a dildo
my
to
soul
life.
like
That was
went
great.
into it, was gonna go into a
He's
martini.
in a tube. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been fucked.
It was like our Hot Springs episode, except it was
Yeah.
a whole arc, and it was actually important. But we managed
Yeah,
to
and
just
also like
constantly
all
do
this
goofy
other
shit.
crazy serious shit was happening. We're like, "Where's Abby? We don't know, but let's stop by this
Yeah.
casino." And like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna animate object on this phallic shit.
yeah.
Yeah, you.
What can I buy at this gift shop? What's this? This
Well,
is
it
cool. It's a
wasn't
dildo.
wasn't it because Brie
Okay,
wasn't
I'll
there, so we
take
were just
it.
killing time? Is that what I don't
Yeah,
know how it
yeah,
started?
it was
I can't remember why. I don't.
Yeah,
remember
Brie couldn't
why
make
right
it,
now.
but
We couldn't make it, and it was like
decided to
it was like
fuck around in
Affy
the casino.
centric. So we were like filler episode
Yeah.
casino,
Yeah, so
and I
good.
just killed myself. It was like
Yeah,
I
you
was there for
died.
that. I was there for you.
I
killing
just would like to point out that I had one of those drinks and was fine.
Because you're immune to fire.
I
Yeah,
had a
yeah. That
Martin
was the...
and I had an
I would be
extra
fine now too, man. I drink them
rampage.
regularly. Like, what do you want?
That's true. Yeah. Martin, it takes a while to get there into the 10th hour, but he arrives somehow.
Probably got zoomies.
God, that was when we had the
I
talking
did.
Oh, the
like
zoomies.
Tumen as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
When,
And he
the
was
Lance
just
like,
real
still
salty the
alive.
whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, Tumen's my biggest mistake where I said that one line. I was like, I've doomed this cool idea and to be memed on. As soon as I had to go,
You did.
put me back, I was like, I'm destroyed. He's gone. He's gone. They're not going
Alright,
to let
that
that
might
one
actually be one of my. I think
Yeah.
back, that might be one of my
So
favorite
funny.
moments.
go. Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. All right. This question's featured you, and then we just got a few last to players questions. I would get to some in the chat, but we are kind of like we've probably gone long enough, so we'll just go through these and then finish up after that. Bree, unless anyone has amazing one in the chat. What did Basil do after Affy would have passed? Did he remain near his family? And you actually came
Yeah.
up with this, but we didn't really get to talk about it.
Yeah. So Basil would have like aged with Affy, but then after mourning her for a long time and like never leaving the house, his kids would have eventually tried to get him out of the house. He would have created an item to de-age himself a bit. He would have gone touring with Elmo across the land. They would have been like a fucking band and like toured and just, you know, had fun. But he would have stayed in touch with everyone. He would have, you know, probably written letters to her still, even though he has no way to like.
I kind of love that, like,
them.
you would have had an old blue arc yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Like, you just literally followed in his footsteps until one day you decided it was enough.
Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't think about that. That's great.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, because he would have outlived Elmo eventually. So then it's like, okay, his like traveling bard buddy is gone, and he would have bothered everyone that was still around from Godforged or Godsbane. And yeah, I think like eventually he would have like watched over his family probably to an annoying extent where they're like, okay, to the point though where maybe even down the line they wouldn't even know who he was anymore. Kind of just like the neighbor guy who was like just around,
like
maybe
old man Jenkins around the corner.
Yeah, precisely. But he's like actually like their great grandpa or whatever. And then I think eventually he probably would have found a way to just become Song. Like no longer have like a corporeal form at his like choice, I guess, to kind of like let go and just be present, but also not be like literally there anymore.
Yeah. I imagine like the way we played off of the fact that you got the spell cast on you, which brought you within 30 days of your death. How I imagine that was like almost like your body just actually becoming part of it, you know, and becoming part of the song.
Yeah, I love that.
I think it's cool that like the idea that like the bard is the one that's still around, like from the group. Like the storyteller to keep the stories alive. Because if it had been any of the rest of us, like no one's, you know, singing songs and telling stories, but like it's like the storyteller that helps the stories stay around.
Absolutely. Yeah, he would have carried all of the stories, written so many songs about every single person from Godsbane, and made sure everyone knew their songs.
Old Basil.
Old Basil.
I saw Old Green as well. Old Green's good.
Old Green is great.
I
like Old Violet, dude.
Old Violet.
Yeah.
Old Violet's very good.
Old Violet.
Yeah, Old Violet's really sweet.
And then there'd be like this cottage that no one lived in, but people could swear they could hear music when they were like,
stop it.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It smelled like the pine soap that he made.
Yeah.
It's like the cottage is like overgrown, like vines and flowers. And...
Oh, I love that. Wait, I have to ask really quick.
Yeah.
How did Shane and Sam, how did you feel about finding out that Basil had named kids and grandkids after people from your life or your character?
Making me fucking emotional.
Well, okay, to be fair, the Dara one, Joe came up with.
Yeah, you came out with the kids, and then I thought, let's fuck with Shane. And,
with Shane.
Yeah.
I loved it because it was like, for me, it's like, there's like, it's because I spoke to Joe about this, and he was like, there's no way Scold holds onto his humanity. Like, it will eventually be gone.
Yeah.
So it's, like, cool that there were other ways that it remained. Like, the writer Scold and, like, Basil naming his kid after Scold. Like, that's, like, the legacy he wanted people to see. So it was, like, perfect.
Yeah.
We had like, a moment where I was trying to work out what would be the final scene. And I've had this idea of, like, Basil passing the torch for a while or something. Or even just, like, you know, Affy going up to bed and just kind of this quiet, just sweet ending. And I was talking to Sam and I was like, okay, do we do a Scold at the end? Because the Scold is the one that kind of sacrificed everything at the end. But I was like, does that have too much despair? There's hope there, but is there too much despair there? So that it made sense of the penultimate one.
Because we talked about multiple endings and it was like every ending was not good. It was like not nice.
Yeah.
Well, I liked it, but like it wasn't a good thing to end on. So we had to like...
And then I remember one of the ending ideas I came up with was, me and Bree had spoken about it, was with one of our kids. And at first I remember you said, like, what if it's Scold? And I was like, what if it was the one that was named after Affy's dad? Because they don't have as much of a, like, they haven't got anything to live up to in terms of everyone's expecting the Scold child to become this hero because he's named after a great hero. Whereas this other one just named after like a tavern owner. And I was like, one of the endings could be him showing up in Kongstol and declaring in front of all of the Krigven to take the right of Skuld, and like the Krigven nodding their heads and like end there as this kind of Basil's kid goes off to become, a great warrior. And I remember we danced around them all.
Weapon too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah.
shit.
I like to think that still happened off screen.
Yeah.
And he definitely beat a Krigven in an arm wrestle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dodger, did Fabia ever forgive or make amends with Lucky? Long term, I imagine.
I think this was touched on a little bit in the epilogue, but I don't think she ever like made a deal with him ever again or had that kind of like a relationship. But he eventually would have sort of worked his way back into all of their lives by being like, hey, I hear so-and-so has a really nice pen. And I don't know, he might go ape shit if someone stole it. I don't know. Just like passing that along.
Do you think as you became more Fae, you might see his point of view? Or do you think like you would never align with him?
I had so literally before I wrote it out more in detail, I can't remember exactly how I said it, but I went to Joe and I was like, so I think Fabia would have over time done more and more and more crazy shit and justified doing more and more and more crazy shit until she was killed. Like, I think that's either she would become insanely powerful or she would die doing something fucking like wild.
It's like
he was like,
killed
fuck,
the cat.
okay.
Yeah, like a Houdini moment. It's just like straight jack in the ocean. It's like,
watch this, everyone.
She didn't come back.
yeah.
So yeah, I think like it would have been super obvious to all of them that the sort of things that Lucky is implying that they take somehow serves Lucky in some way or another, right? Like they all know what this dude's about now, but there's also the aspect of literally every single one of these motherfuckers just enjoys the thrill of taking shit from these really powerful beings and getting away with it, Yeah. So like how far would that go, right? Like you can't eventually you get to something that you try to steal from and you don't make it out of there, So I don't know, but a lot of their tip-offs would have come from Lucky at a certain point.
Cool. OG.
Yes.
What kind of ruler was Fia? A conqueror, pursuer of peace, etc.? And did she ever punish pirates for raiding a ship from Kessex?
I think that for as all over the place and high-strung as she was and still is, I think one of the things that was consistent for her is that she really tried hard to listen to people and make sure people were heard and make sure that if there was a way to compromise, that it could happen. And so I think she was probably pretty bossy, right? But in that sort of like, knock it off, figure out what's important here, and then let's move on, right? So I think she was heavy-handed, fair in that. But I think likely she was also sort of like, also, you're just kind of married into this, and like, you do your thing, and like, I'll just loom silently behind you. And just like, one of the things that I sort of always did with her was anytime there was a confrontation, I always had her flank someone on the right, whoever was talking, to just sort of stand there like, no, dude, I've got your back, and if I need to, I will set everything on fire right now, right? And so I think that's probably what she did kind of with Heyman as well.
It's interesting you say it as well, because I remember early on I was like, if they don't do a Crestfall, I might have a little ending where Crestfall does invade. And it's this kind of idea of, even though you can go and be heroes and save the world from that, politics will always overrule, and it will always just going to lead to wars. But then when you became queen, I was like, I don't think they would try it. I don't think they would try it against a dragon queen that's also part of this like
Yeah.
like could easily go and call upon allies from other nations as well because you guys had built such a reputation. So it became like Crestfall kind of ate itself up. That's why they had their own civil war in the ending.
Yeah. Like I don't think she would have I think she would have resented having to say it.
Yeah.
Like also I can just be a dragon right now.
Should just
you know
been
what I
an
mean? But
figure.
she would have
Yeah,
right. And I think I don't know what she would do about the pirates. I like to think that there would be a sort of unspoken kind of respect. But I also think
ships.
I also think that she definitely would have like bamfed over to Pennytown and like waltzed into the like, council of captains.
Lena.
I could see that.
Do not
even the 20 gift subs.
To do this, right?
Yeah. I imagine there would have been it would be the rogue
You're
pirates.
insane.
Shane, did Timmy spend any time in Wolfguard after they reclaimed their home?
Absolutely. Technically, Timmy spent more time with Wolfguard and those soldiers than he did with Godsbane, right?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So that's essentially like his second home and almost a second family to him.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have absolutely
he's a hero there.
Yeah. He doesn't care about that though.
Yeah, no, what I mean by that though, like in terms of like I think he would always have a welcome home in Wolfguard, and like everyone would know his. Like I would say, Timmy in Wolfguard is more famous than Godsbane as a kind of a concept because you saved their king, and technically with the reason that they succeeded everything.
Mm-hmm.
Sam would have stayed at Old Blue's place that entire.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have established it.
Sweet.
Sam and technically Tomato as well. Where are each of your rocks where you stash things under? And would a Douglas try to find skulls 24/7?
They would be extremely far from Cogstar. It'd be like climbing up the mountain, deep snow, like find a rock, like type deal. Like I feel like it was like there would be multiple Krigven that did this. And it would just be like, it's an unwritten rule that you just don't look under other rocks. Like, you don't go looking for someone's rock.
Never pick up a rock.
Yeah, like, so Skald would never look for Adderwood's rock. I don't know if Adderwood would try and find Skald's, but I didn't really have I didn't pick a rock. I didn't, in the moment.
People in chat, by the way, if you do have any crazy big questions and you're like, we have to know this before the end, type them out, and I'm sure people in here will see them. Others we'll just get to the last few here, so I can let you guys go. But Tomato
would have been. Hang on, I haven't answered the rock question.
Yeah, dude, let him answer.
No, I was about to say tomorrow your stash, and then I'll get you one.
All right, Adelward's stash would have been under an extremely unassuming rock, probably on the outskirts of home, where everyone would assume things would be very magically attuned. His would be just a extremely mundane rock hole.
Yeah.
Like it would be the type of thing where like a child would trip over the rock and find it.
I was just thinking that.
There you go.
It's like super uncharacteristic of Adelward, but like it's just it's all magic over there, so no one's really looking for like shit underneath a pile of rocks. And Adelwood would have had a Doug looking for Skald's rock. Like undoubtedly, they probably never would have found it. But like at the point where Adelward departed the plains, he had plenty of Dougs lying around for one to just be like, "I'm the rock Doug. I'm the rock."
I like to think there's a moment where the rock Doug get some form of sentience to a point where they kind of give up from this mundane task, and they sigh and they sit down on a rock and go,
and that's the rock.
And give it up, and it's that rock. Yeah, they're one away.
Yeah, it's either that or the other thing in my head is like they find the rock. And the things that Skald considers valuable are just fucking junk. It's just fucking junk.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking necklace from his dad and like a toy from when he was a kid.
There's no value. A fresh kill that he put there ages ago.
Yeah, and it's just like the bones of a fucking coyote, like his first kill. It's just shit that you think like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, that's definitely not the rock. And he would just go on with his life, but that was the rock.
Yeah, but like I think Skald spent like all of his money. Like out of all of us, Skald was always like, I give him 6,000 gold.
So, I mean, money was never a thing for like they hunted and they made, they smelted metal and stuff like that. And it was like the whole time I was like, Skold would never have money, and if he had it, he wouldn't care about it.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be under his rock. There wouldn't be any form of riches under there. It would just be
good.
sentimental shit.
And the final personal question before we get to the player ones. Tomato, did Adderwood ever take up Fia's mum's offer?
No.
Aww.
He gave it to a dog.
But did one of the dogs?
Did a Doug?
Did a dog
She
do
was
the
invited.
deed?
No.
And then she got turned down by thousands of Dougs.
Dogs.
Damn.
That is something that would have bothered her.
Yeah.
And, like, this is just kind of like how I usually play D&D characters. I don't really like getting into like most of like, the sexual shit with my D&D characters, and Alward is very much like a
The anti, yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't care about that shit. Like genuinely, he was so isolated from that stuff that I genuinely don't think Alward ever would have.
He has
Yeah.
big Ace vibes, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
I know
Doesn't
too,
care.
Joe and I were talking about it the other day, and I feel like I just want to put this out into the universe because obviously we memed on it and joked about it all the time, right? But like, as created as part of Fia's backstory, her mom was real thirsty. Like that was always part of the act. That wasn't just like
it wasn't me
like,
improvising. Yeah, that's
that was
the
part of it. Is that she was just like, hell yeah, let's do it. So
I do love the idea that like OG like irritated you that day, and you were like, I know how to get back. And then
yeah,
you-
right. Like, well, your mom likes to fuck, dude.
Your mom's a hoe.
But I do think that it would have bothered her that Edelward was like, no. It would have like, there would have been a kernel of something in her heart for the rest of her life that was just like, God damn
Penguin
it.
said no.
Yeah.
All right, as players, did any of you have any backup characters planned for if your character would have died or anything?
Well, I mean, I had like we talked about like briefly,
Backup ideas.
like ideas. Like
When I say backup character, that'd be what like. Is there something else you would?
I had a
thought about.
Tabaxi monk.
Oh shit!
Backup
Okay.
character.
Yeah, we just made my backup character.
There were-
and he's in the game now.
Yeah,
so
I imagine
that's what
that
I was gonna play after.
There were certain situations where we would go to a fight. Like there was that Krigven when we fought the undead. Like that, and so like I'm always of the camp of like, because it's like something I'm always interested in is like if I had died in that situation, I might have asked you if I could just start playing the Krigven we had just met. And take up the mantle and just grab a character that you had created and just like use it.
Very roguelike. That's cool.
Yeah. So there was certain situations where I was like, if I die in this situation, I want to play this character we just met, and I'll like speak to you about it after.
That's cool there.
To be honest, that was usually like the idea as well with me was like if Alward dies in the fight at against like the dragon in Fjordhelm, I'm just gonna take another Lokavat that was inspired by that. And just roll
I feel like
it's
it's
that easy.
Yeah.
Grab another one.
It's a lot easier to integrate someone who the party have met than to find an excuse for someone that far into a campaign to be like, hey man, let me come with you and help you. So that's but in terms of like class and stuff, I always have an idea of like, oh, these are the things I haven't played in D&D and I want to try, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I can mix this one in as well. What would be the alternate universe classes for your character?
Ooh.
So, what would yours be?
Probably would have just been Artificer, right? Like if
I suppose so. Yeah.
I already basically did the alternate universe because we had to pivot off of that.
That's
homebrew
true.
Class.
That's
so,
true.
Like, the Blade Singer, it was super convenient that stuff played out in that like sequence with like the Christmas stuff for me to have an out to be like, this is why I switched to this because I didn't want to do a base Artificer from.
No, I remember we spoke about it and we're like, shit, they just don't fulfill the same role. Yeah, for sure. Wait, Sam.
I think I would have gone for like a very primal form of paladin.
Ooh. Yeah. I could see a Krigven Paladin be sick.
Yeah. Like not necessarily harnessing the light, but kind of harnessing like, giants.
Yeah. Like oath of kind of greatness.
The forge, right? Like that kind of
stuff. Yeah.
That's cool.
What about for Basil?
Druid, 100%.
Ooh,
I feel like that just makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
100%.
Gardener.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I talked to so many plants
he's his own
early on,
cattle.
if you remember. Yeah.
And mushrooms, dude.
And mushrooms, yeah.
Yeah.
Turned into animals all the fucking time. Like, Druid just makes sense.
You just be one of the sheep in the field, just hanging out with your buds, and your parents will call you in. What about for Fabio?
I think there was a different direction I could have gone with Fabia, that was more like pulled into this against their will instead of like seeking out the thrills, more of like much more like the rest of the Lagos society that we developed. And I think in that situation she probably would have been like a ranger. You know.
I remember you teasing around the idea of ranger when you first picking it as well. Shane, what about Timmy?
Paladin for Somra, honestly. It
Yeah,
sounds very
yeah.
similar already, but that's who he is as a character.
Fundamentally, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, like, initially, like, by the way the card was drawn for Aaron, it calls for, like, a fighter to come in, but then you were like, man, I want to try this, and we came up with a monk for that, so that's also kind of the alternate reality, is that it would have just been a fighter. What about for Fia?
A knight.
I think Fia's a tough one because specifically the draconic sorcerer is the kernel of who she is, and that's how we created her. So I don't know that I could take that. I don't know what she would be without the dragon bit, but I think the super try-hardy, always freaking out and writing notes and stuff, like she could easily have just been a wizard and just been.
Well, I'm in trouble with you. I think you could have gone Dragon Legacy item just because of pursuit of an item, and gone Swashbuckler Rogue.
And that was that was what I was gonna say. And then if I took the dragon away, then I would have just done a pirate, right?
Yeah.
She would have,
or like a warlock to the rogue.
Yeah, warlock would be cool too.
She would have been a warlock to Unmythos, and then be like, "Fuck, this guy sucks." I changed my mind.
No, I take it back.
What an asshole! He sucks. Why is he such a...
Which boss fight was your favorite and why?
Ooh.
Was there a or like which I guess build up as well? Like was there a boss kind of moment that you were like that was fulfilling or?
Oh yeah, I have my favorite for sure.
A bunch, but I'm trying to think of like
There's
a specific
so
situation. There were so many fights where
easily the cradle. That was like
that was so good.
Entire way that the finale of that played out was just like me getting to use a bunch of tools that I never got to use again after that. But it felt really good to like. I mean, honestly, that whole place was
such a good. It was such a good arc.
The cradle was a really fun arc.
Yeah. Cradle was great.
I think mine's easy too. Mine is the Kruthic fight. Because it was the first. Good. It was early enough in the campaign that it was when everything clicked for me, and I was like, oh shit, like I get all of D&D now. I see everything all at once. Do you know what I mean? But it was that moment of like, oh wait, this can be like a huge overarching thing, and like it's super like complex, and you have to like save the whatever, right? Like that was when it really clicked for me, and I was like, yeah, that was my favorite. Also made a shit ton of cash after that.
Mine was the giant dragon that enslaved the Krigven and the Lockabets.
Oh yeah,
that was sick.
That was so much fun.
It felt like a fight that Skuld had like a lot, because like a lot of our group was struggling with the fight itself, and Skuld was like just kind of toe to toeing this dragon, and it was like super cool.
Yeah,
that was really fun.
I liked was it the spider, that old blue we had to get the portrait from when we did the blood?
Holy shit.
That was like one of our most creative approaches to resolving
it was,
That was really fun.
That alchemy jug really came in clutch.
Oh my God.
That episode has the unfortunate momentum of me not reading the alchemy jug only works X amount of times, or up to a certain amount of liquid. So I still get rules lawyers to this day going, it doesn't work like that. And I'm like, God damn it, dude. It doesn't matter. It was
you gotta
cool.
put it
It was fucking cool.
It was epic.
That was really fun.
Well, in my world, it did just that one time.
Yeah.
It's a special jug. Legendary.
For me, a cop-out obviously is Magnathor, because it was kind of... I knew that once we'd run Magnathor, it didn't matter what came afterwards. Like, we could have ended the campaign there. So for me, it was like getting to that fight.
Yeah.
But Knife Axe is definitely up there because it was the first dragon I ever ran. But then I really do enjoy. I enjoyed the assassin character coming up with all the traps in the room, as convoluted as it was.
I like that fight too.
That was really good.
I was trying to remember which fight that was. I was like, there was a fight that had a bunch of like.
Aphelic dies, dude.
That one was great.
And then we were like, "Can we write it on the map?" No. Okay, I think it was here-ish. I went too forward. Fuck no.
And there's also my other favorite one would be the Yeti that.
Oh, buddy.
For players, favorite NPCs.
Oh, come on, dude.
Come on. Mine was so early. It was one of the... I don't even remember what he was. He was one of the magic salesmen who had just a really funny voice. He was
Eldorus voice?
Yeah.
The guy in the marketplace?
Yeah. He was the original Eldorus. Yeah, that's the voice I designed for Eldorus eventually because I was like...
Yeah, the Identify guy.
Yeah.
What was like the stoner set? Like, yeah, man. Like
the blacksmith stoner.
Yeah, I like him, but I also fucking love Cadvin so much. I love
Cadvin's great.
Cadvin was really
I got so invested with Cadvin, like being happy.
Me too. Oh my god.
I think Silk I just loved because I really like just crotchety, like just, you know, like
shit,
I hate you know what I mean? Like I like that. I think because I hate everything. But then like Cadvin was easily like the one that I was like, if this man dies, I will scorched earth all of Godforged.
Dude, mine was Zalfio.
Yeah, Zalfio.
He's got a great place in my heart.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like you play that type of character so well.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, that was. If I had to like take a few characters, some of my favorite ones to play, Zalfio's definitely up there.
Yeah,
Just
just
so
like
much fun
the fucking wine glass swirling. Like, knows he's better than you, knows
really
he's
fun.
stronger than you, but plays with you anyway.
You have this mutual,
like that kind of vibe. I think that shit.
I agree.
So
I love that shit, dude. Yeah, and Silk as well because everyone loves a fucking goblin, dude.
And little boy.
I'm one of X guys till the day I die. All right?
yeah. X guys till the day I die.
X guys, dude.
Yeah.
There was one of the questions I deleted was like, which was the hardest voice to do? And honestly, like none of the grouchy ones, it was Ick.
It was
because
Ick.
I can't really do Ick. I can't really do liver puddling for more than a couple lines.
Kuno?
No.
Scouse is really hard, man. It's really hard.
Super fun. Like you can say a few words. It's like Geordie. And then you guys kept it around like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I was stuck as like Ick.
I didn't love Disco Elysium so much. I don't think I care about Ick as much.
Yeah.
But because it like just makes me like so happy to hear that voice and think about that.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
I keep him around forever, I guess.
Yep.
I guess we'll do a one shot with him again.
Yeah, it's true. And then lean on for that. Which villain did you personally want dead the most? And are there any villains you wish you got a chance to team up with?
Ooh.
Is there anyone you're like, fuck?
I was wondering if there was going to be a Zalfel team up to fight.
Yeah.
Me too.
Same,
I thought maybe
and I feel like
everything
he
that
could have been like a
happened near the
patron.
end- Oh yeah.
You know?
I wasn't sure if maybe everything that was going on at the end where we found like his insert dude, like his spy dude.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe that was going to be like a red herring or like a bait and switch of some kind, and we were going to find out that he was actually like trying to stop everything as well. Yeah. So I had at some point preconceived notions of like, oh shit, maybe we're gonna work with Zalfel. But
I mean, technically, on Mythos is a villain you teamed up with in a lot of ways. Like I thought you might fight him by the end, because he was always like a cocky little shit.
That you might fight him several times.
Yeah.
It's ready to just punch him.
and Varthix to an extent as well.
Yeah.
I
I wish we would have the fucking shitty mayor. I just wish we would have like put him in jail or Ural Schwett. That guy sucked so bad. And I just wish that something bad. I don't necessarily think he should have died for what he did, but I wish something bad. Like I wish he's just always slightly uncomfortable.
I want to tell you,
or like something in his life.
They talk about like bittersweet endings, right? Like Frodo always having that scar. I want you to know that Ural Schwett went on to live a happy, long life in politics somewhere far away from Kessex, and was continuously...
For sure, because if it would have been Kessex, Fio would have just popped in all the time, like, "Hey, how's this town going? How's Dunwell?"
Continuously the guy trying to disrupt the alliance between Westmourne and
she had tabs on him for sure.
Yeah.
After uniting all the Krigven, I think it would have been cool to like have teamed up with Haug, who was everyone just started calling him Uven, but I like pictured it like a Black Panther Killmonger situation.
Oh yeah,
where like he kind of realizes that like Magnathor's way like ain't it. But it was still cool to fight him. But like I think an alternate me is like it would have been cool if he like showed up and helped us fight Magnathor or something, you know. After learning that like they were hill giants and Magnathor is the one that cursed us and all that other shit.
Nah, dude.
Could have been cool.
He doubled down.
Yeah, that's because all Krigven did that.
Yeah.
The earth is flat, dude. He doubled down. He was like, I don't care how much evidence you give me. Magnathor is it, dude.
He was kind of always in my mind like the anti-Skuld. Like if Skuld had decided to entrust Magnathor as his giant kind of thing, you know? And like the idea that in his world, he just wanted to follow his giant and like his new giant and like that kind of dedication, that blind loyalty. But yeah, that would have been cool if get a Killmonger situation.
Yeah, I mean, the irony was that was the cycle that Skuld had been trying to break the whole time, and he just couldn't do it for Haug. But
and the final question on this list is: what moment in the campaign surprised you the most, whether it was good or bad? So what was the biggest like twist for you, or the biggest surprise? It didn't have to even be a twist. Like
mine was the Krigven being the secret race of giants. That was a fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was good.
That was really good.
It was awesome that you kept that under wraps and then dropped it.
Well,
I didn't see it coming at all, so it was great.
I was always nervous about twists like that because I'm like, I don't want to fuck up your idea for like.
Was that a thing like you? Was that like you came up with that like relatively close to when you? Early? Or was it like something you had planned for a while?
A while, I would say, just before you got to Wolfguard. I think I had kind of had this concept there. It was probably before that. It was when I was coming all the lieutenants of Magnathor, because I wanted to have. I created this backstory for like Abathur and all of the other ones, and I had her. I was like, okay, how did the were virus get into Wolfguard in the first place? And it comes through her, and it was her collecting it for Magnathor on his request from the Feywild. Gives it to him to punish the Krigven, and then that's when I came up with it, and then it escaped into Wolfguard. So yeah, it was something I came up with pretty early, but I didn't flesh out massively.
That's cool.
That's a good one.
Anyone else?
Finding out what the Godforged is at episode 30. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, holy shit.
And not being allowed to say it.
Yeah,
that was rough.
That's fucking crazy. I remember that.
That was fucking epic, man.
Vividly. Yeah, it was really cool.
And that happened during the improvised episode too. That's
the improvised episode. You burdened Shane with like 200 episodes of suffering.
Yeah.
It took us forever to figure out we could just.
If you tell anyone, your mother's gone.
Yeah.
No. Well, we were just so worried that
we're like, we don't want anything to happen to him, right? Yeah. And then it was like, wait a minute, I just read your mind.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. But also, who's gonna just be like, let me just read your mind? Like that's a little.
Almo's girlfriend being Yule.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
That was so good.
That fucking shook me.
And just fucking killing him.
Really fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Elmo died.
I came up with that when you met her for the first time. I was like, okay, how the fuck does Yule know all of this other shit? And the only really indication, because obviously you wouldn't look into Gale, was suddenly you guys hadn't told anyone about the bandits, and she suddenly knew. Or like
I just assumed Esha Talon was super competent. Like I
was playing off of the idea that like players will have this presumption that sometimes you're just going to metagame it, and I was like, but what if I didn't? What if I just had this like she was the link?
Right.
I went back and looked at like the notes of the description I wrote of her the first time we met her, and just like circled it angrily.
us being lured to the Dragon Cave was good as well, with the descending.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yes, that was really good.
I think I have two that are related to that. One is when I was able to send a message to Aunt Mythos the first time when I just opened up TAC, and I was like, and the reason that I had her go into like a tent, right? Because she would have been embarrassed if it didn't work. That's the only reason. Like, it wasn't like it was just like, if this doesn't work, I look like such a fucking chump in front of these guys. And so I just was like, I don't know. I open it up and I think about Aunt Mythos, and you're like, and it lights up, and I was like, I wasn't prepared for that. Fuck, what do I, right? Like, and then I think related to that is the day that Adelward and Fia swapped charisma. And I like just randomly had 3 words left and was like, miss you, bye. Like, because I thought it would be a funny thing if you were like shitty at charisma. And then you're like, oh yeah, actually, I really miss you.
Stuck.
And it was like,
oh my God.
Yeah, that was
remember
really funny.
When,
that's the whole romance.
Scold had that like Fae honey.
Yes.
Yeah.
I so wanted to just have a supply of that like forever.
Christmas Gold for an entire set.
I really like also when you revealed that the souls were all in the Warforged as well. That was a huge thing that you kept on the wraps for ages.
That was huge.
Yeah,
that was very cool. Yeah.
Even just early on when we discovered the Warforged, period, when we were like
in the Krothic hive and we found 10,000 Warforged just lined up.
Oh my God.
And then they were like, "Why did you go that way?" And we were like, "Oh, we heard Krothic."
Yeah.
Yeah, that
also
was fun.
The Bagman stealing Zelfel's item.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
That's probably one of my favorite moments. That was so cool.
That was incredible.
Like, that was, for me, that's my twist from you players. Like, because I was like, I'll give him this creepy bag on the side of the street. It's next to a corpse. Like, I just read about the Bagman. And you guys, like, immediately just go, all right, empty upside down. All right, cool. All right, pop this big item in. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God, I'm trying to concentrate for the rest of the episode. I'm like, wait, I have to work that out. Okay, holy shit. But yeah, you guys like so nonchalant just threw it in there.
We didn't even know it was in that obsidian chest.
Yeah, no, because you just were supposed to carry it and not open it. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, I gave it to you as a sort of like, oh, fuck with them. See what they do with this god's hand. Thinking like at one point you'd open it.
You gave it to the rules follower. Of course he's not going to look in it. You gave it to the one guy that's like,
you gave it to the wrong guy, to be honest.
Yeah.
What was the someone asked in the chat? What was the bag of holding for? It literally was just to give them a Bagman encounter. I was just gonna have the next time you rested, the Bagman climbs out at some point, or like just creepy moment where it comes and attacks you.
That would have been Bree's dream, and you didn't make it happen.
I didn't get to meet the Bagman.
One shot.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Dodger?
Oh, I was gonna bring up a different thing. So if you want to finish,
no, bring up. That's fine.
This isn't like necessarily a twist, but I really loved, and I think this could have not worked, but it really worked. I loved exploring the War for More by all of us playing Dario's friends.
Yeah,
that was
so
and
good.
all of us randomly rolling to see who we played. That was so fucking
fun.
good. That was so fun.
And then we just kept breaking the dream because we were like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, that was like an idea I had. I was like, oh man, I would love to do this kind of like cool, almost prequel kind of series, but it wouldn't have made, if you could teleport it back there, wouldn't make sense. And also I was like, I can't have them traveling in time. Like that one time battle you did, I was like, that is enough of me fucking with time.
But the fact it was memories and the RPG that came out during it was all so good.
And
so
Timmy as
Shane,
Ogren
you fucking killed it.
Was
oh my God, it was so perfect.
That was such
and your final line where you
ending.
refused to run to just see how that memory went down and you didn't see the truth because of that was like, that to me was,
it was really
beautiful.
good.
Yeah, well, chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
Just a little.
But I think overall, like for me as a DM, you consistently just like the amount of twists in all your backstories that you came up with, like as it went along, and just decisions of how to tackle things were always so fun to deal with. Like they're only like I can only do so much to predict what you're doing. And the reason I had to improvise so much was because you kept doing things which were so creative and so unique. So like, I think it was just such a fun experience throughout the entire campaign, just to see how you'd react to every single scenario. And it's a reason why I couldn't future plan ahead, because Yeti. That's just what would have happened.
Yeah.
100 times over.
That Yeti.
Yeah, you never know. But yeah, I think that was the final question we've got here. I don't know if there's any outliers in chat that you guys saw. Otherwise, we can probably wrap up.
I saw one that was we know what Basil smells like. What does everybody else smell like?
Oh yeah, everyone else smell like.
What does basil smell like?
Well, for a long time he smelled like pepper or whatever seasoning because he got really nervous and he like went to a shop and he was like, "Do you have anything that smells good?" And the guy gave him spices.
Yeah.
So for a long time he smelled like spices, but I think generally Basil smells probably like floral and woodsy, like open fire, woodsy, like timber and flowers probably.
Honestly, I feel like most people in like that kind of time period would
smell
smell
like
like campfires, right?
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
like that smell you get after going out like on like a campfire in real life, and your just clothes stink of it for days.
Yeah,
I imagine that's what 90% of people on the road
sure.
smell like.
absolutely.
I like to think that the longer that Fabia was in the Feywild, she would have that really awful static smell of like an old TV.
Yeah.
Where you're like, there's something wrong
that
here.
That like ozone kind of like
that ozone smell.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I thought she was just gonna smell like a rabbit, but she smells like
You're like, I'm alarmed somehow.
Like, what is this? Yeah.
That's a good one.
Actually, that reminded me of one of my favorite arcs that you guys pursued was the circus.
Oh my
God,
god,
the circus was so much fun.
Yeah,
circus was fun.
It was really good.
This was great.
I would have loved to see Adelward at the circus. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah,
Oh
I feel like
God.
that is
Shove
a
him in the
regret
cannon.
I have.
Yeah.
We go back. We find it
yeah.
again. There was another question in chat. What was the outcome of the prank war between Fabia and Adelward?
Okay, I don't know how Adelward would have beaten an entire society of rabbits
That's
thinking
fair.
Adelward is obsessed with a rabbit girl. But like, if you have any ideas, feel free. I feel like I won, but
I feel like I won.
Look, here's the thing: is that
Which
nothing.
one were you
the
pranking?
only way I think that Adelward would have truly pursued a prank war would have been if, like, truly, if you had done something that deeply pissed him off or inconvenienced him. Like, like the one or two things that happened to Adelward were like very small or like something that like only lingered for like 5 minutes of like talking in character or whatever. But I think that if it had reached the point where Adelward perceived it to be a war, it would have probably gone from pranks to way more toxic within about 15
Adelward
minutes.
always struck me as like incredibly high tolerance, but once it breaks, he's just so petty and vengeful.
It would have been like, oh,
he's always going to be the guy that pushes the line.
Like once the tolerance breaks, like it's not fun anymore. Like he's ruined it.
Fabia's like, it was just a joke. I thought it was a prank. What's your problem,
prank,
dude?
bro.
Yeah.
Fully.
God damn.
Yeah. I true polymorphed your entire burrow. And he was
Worms into worms.
Bro, come on.
That's so accurate. I feel like for his character.
People are asking about Sunforged characters, but we won't spoil anyone. I think the only person that has said what they're doing is Tomato. You're almost like our little teaser. Have you told him? Okay,
So,
anyone who said
I've told
anything?
people that
I
told my community that I'm remaking my very first D&D character.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting.
I told my community I'm playing a class I've never played before. That's it.
Yeah. Don't be pressured by this at all to reveal anything. If you want to save it all for the show, that's great. Tomato said what he's doing. Do you want to say what you're doing as a concept?
Currently, right now, the approach for my character is I'm going to play a rogue homebrew subclass that Joe made. I'm going to be playing a exclusively martial healer support class.
Ooh.
So ideally, this was designed to fill the role of a cleric in a group without magic.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I could tell be one playing. I don't mind.
I like that.
I mean, it's totally up to you. Like, don't feel any pressure. It's cool to reveal.
Something. Just say something vague.
Like a little hint.
Yeah, be vague.
Just a baby hint.
I'm playing.
Be mysterious, Sam.
I'm playing a blind knight that uses Eldritch Sight to see. That's what I'm playing.
Yeah, it's very cool because there's a lot of night stuff in the next campaign. So you're gonna That's some very deep dive into that.
I'm playing Basil again. No.
Yeah, my character from Godforged is kind of immortal, basically.
What's the time frame?
Dude.
We like introduce our characters, and Bree's like, my character's called Old Violet, and
and no, you don't know who he is.
yeah,
Okay?
his background is a mystery.
Played, okay?
He's a half orc.
I could turn into a dragon, and I'm a queen, and I have 5 kids.
But I think we should probably, because we're going for a while, we should probably wrap up there. But we are going to be playing a level 21 shot in I think at the end of the month. So you'll see the characters for the last time there as a kind of grouping, and just to finish off a couple of. There's been some questions about some stuff which I've ignored from the chat because maybe they'll come up in the one shot. As a final way of saying goodbye to this campaign, so that we can bring on the next one. The next campaign will start in the next couple of months. Probably 2 months, I imagine, from now. We're making some good progress. I've made of all the characters that want all the players that want homebrew classes. I've made 3 of the 4, with some tweaks to come into some of the others, and so we are close to character development and then artwork and all that cool stuff. Is it going to be 1 D&D? No, I don't think 1 D&D is going to be developed enough by then. I would have loved to change over towards it, but I don't know. I mean, it's something we can talk about, but honestly, it's so. I mean, we still got like a year and a bit before 1 D&D comes out properly, and even then, it's going to be early days. What's the next campaign about? Sunforged is set in the continent to the east. They'd seen some people from High Loma. Dave's character came from High Loma. It is a land where politics and of politics, knights, eldritch, Diablo meets Game of Thrones meets Elden Ring kind of style. So it's going to be fun. And that is our campaign wrap up.
Sorry.
We'll just. That's okay. You can do weird sounds. Does anyone have a weird sound they'd like to do?
It's truly over. Wait, no, not until after the 21.
Yeah, no, there's a one shot. We're fine. We're good.
Okay.
As a one shot.
Not yet.
And also, I should say, if you had no chance of watching Godforged and this is your first hearing of it, you don't have to watch it to start with Sunforged. It's really exciting to know there's a lot of people.
Don't watch it. It's not worth your time.
I mean,
just wait.
If you watch it, you'll get some cool Easter eggs and stuff along the way, I'm sure. But if you are looking to start at the base and come in with this wonderful crew at the beginning of a new campaign, then Sunforged is the perfect way to do it. It's going to be really fun. Okay. I'll let you guys just flock to wherever you want to. Go. You've seen all their socials. We've done enough shouts. I won't make you do a shout out during this one. Just go and check them all out, guys. Sam's on a subathon currently, so go over there and join him.
Don't.
I have a shout out.
Don't advertise. Yeah, it needs to end.
Everybody follow Joe. He's an incredible DM. He made an amazing campaign for us that we all fell in love with. And we're really, really excited for Sunforged, and it's also going to be on his channel. So follow Joe Fudge, twitch.tv/Joe Fudge.
Thank you.
He covers D&D stuff on his channel sometimes, and he's lovely. So it's worth a follow.
I appreciate it. I'm very excited to start Sunforged.
Me too.
I think anyone who didn't get to experience Godforged with us, wasn't there from the beginning,
or just people that came in halfway through and like kind of missed the start.
Yeah,
it's gonna be good, dude.
Yeah, dive in with us at the beginning because, like, I mean, put it this way: Godforged ended literally with a reference to the first episode. So, start from the beginning, join us on an amazing journey, and we'll have another 3-year-long campaign where we get to do this all over again.
And epic one-liner from Timmy.
Yes, dude. Yeah. We set a high bar for 3 years from now.
Yeah, dude. You got somehow top it, Shane.
Yeah, everyone's gonna like be like frantically trying to think of a last line, and we're all gonna be like pulling our punches so that it goes around to Shane again, and he has to do it. Just be like, I don't know,
do you know what do you know what I hope happens? I hope someone who's not really even listened to this starts Sunforged, goes through the entirety of Sunforged, and then goes back and watches Godforged like a prequel series.
Yeah.
I just want to see someone's experience doing it the opposite way around.
Yeah.
I love also like
I love that.
getting to that point where it's like, yo man, I'm watching Sunforged, it's sick, and then they're like, have you seen Godforged though? And they're like, what's that? And they're like, it's the prequel, you should go watch it.
Be sick. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming out for the Q&A. I appreciate it. Thanks everyone for asking those questions. Sorry we can get to more. There's 1,000 more questions to be asked, but and maybe for Sunforge we'll try and do like even if it's just text form, we'll try and get some like questions answered and stuff more frequently. But that was it. Thanks so much for coming out. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for the level 21 shot. And take care. Go and join Sam's Subathon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Don't come here. Bye.
All right, let me send everyone across to you.
All right, so chat, tomorrow's going to go get some food, and then we're going to buy summer car. So we could probably do some wheel spins, and then maybe we'll just do Cyberpunk until Tomato is ready to play, because he's going to go get some food. Let me spin the wheel. Okay. Let's do it.
Oh, bud.
Thank you, Joe. I love you, buddy.
Thanks for subscribing to Strippin
All right.
Facts. Did you
6
know
minutes.
Strippin has no toes?
How many spins do we have?
Woo! Thanks for the resub.
Karen busted again, hurty eyes. It's because there's two different settings. There's one for low light and one for highlight. And
hey guys, check it out. I can do sub alerts while I'm driving.
If I turn the light on and I don't change it, it messes up.
Thanks for subbing to Cocklifting Fitness.
All right, we're gonna do 6.
Hey, thanks for subscribing.
5 minutes. You know what?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, Strippin? Yeah, that guy
Can
has
you do a
probably the
put on
biggest
mesh
dick I've ever
shot?
seen. It's actually enormous.
My darling
we
Spam.
got 5 minutes.
So glad was I to hear word of you. Mere hours left of this madness. I know you fight this war to bring us peace.
You want a
but
mesh
you are
shot thing on
deeply
there?
missed. The thought of you at my side again is quite poggers. Sincerely yours, Duger.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal.
Thank you for the sub.
I'll make you a deal. This one here, because this is a one-time. This is a one-time spin. If I land on this, I will get rid of it, do it, and then I'll put mesh shot in its place.
Bud,
Okay.
Is it a sub?
Oh my gosh,
Okay,
did
so-
you just subscribe to Sam Strippin? That's so exciting! Wow, you must be so jazzed!
Draw an emote from memory.
I see you've decided to subscribe to the Twitch streamer Strippin. While I can't speak to the ethics of this decision, I hope you use your newfound emotes and powers responsibly.
Mom.
Stretches.
My pants.
Wow, that is certainly a lot of subs. You know, Sam said that if he got like 10 more than this, he was actually going to buy sheets for that bed finally.
5 more minutes.
I'm a good doggy. Give me a head pat.
Howdy.
Hydrate. Everybody hydrate.
Thanks for the subscription to my buddy Strippin. He would thank you right now, but he's playing a video game and he's not really good at reading chat, so I'm doing it for him. Thanks a bunch.
What happens to the old sheets? What do you mean old sheets?
No.
Old
Sam,
sheets?
stop slouching.
Fucking love you.
Subscribe.
Oh my god, Crystal! What are you doing, Crystal? We got Washed Vendetta, thank you for the 11 gift subs. Rarely Broken, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Capsaholic, thank you for the gift sub. Lady Morning, thank you for the 2 gift subs. Shroud Arrow, thank you for the 20 gift subs. Quistal, thank you for the 100 gift subs.
The Strippin channel.
Really broken. Thank you for the 10 gift subs. Quistal, that's insane. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Look at that timer.
The office of Sam Whiffen. Unfortunately, he missed your sub.
Stick,
but
thank you for
that's
the gift,
nothing
man.
new.
Thank you so much, Quistal. Thank you, Shroud. Thank you, Really Broken.
Twitch, you must first invent the universe.
I will just stress, guys. We've hit all-time sub high. I'm ready to end the subathon. Okay, we don't need to keep adding time. We can let it end. Okay.
Loompa doopity doo. I've got
It can end.
another sub message for you.
It's been great. Okay. I'll take a few days off and then it'll be back to normal. I'll be here every day anyway, man. Like, you guys just stop paying money. It's not needed anymore. Okay?
Howdy.
It's really nice. You guys very generous. Thank you so much. Stishinsky with the 15 subs, Kaz with the 5, Vicious with the 5 , and Spadusa with the 5 gifted
and you're
subs.
watching the Strippin channel.
We own you now? Okay, we need to talk about this though. Because we need to make a deal.
Stop slouching.
Okay. We need to make a deal because my daughter's birthday is in 2 weeks.
Just a few
You need
more
to
subs,
promise
Jack. Just a
me
few more, and we'll
that this will be over before her
finally
birthday.
get my summer car.
Because if it's not,
Mom,
I'm just gonna end it
I just
anyway.
pooped my pants.
Thanks for subscribing
No
to my
promises.
friend Strippin.
I'll just fucking end it
Now watch
anyway.
as he eats 15 raw eggs.
I'm not missing her birthday for you.
Okay,
Okay.
gamers, hope you got your diapers on.
So it needs to be over by then. You
Strippin'
guys can
sub!
keep stringing me
The Strippin'
along
sub is real!
like a fucking piece of meat. Okay? But when it comes to the 27th, the day before her birthday, I'm out of here.
Huge
Just letting you guys know. I'm just being real.
round of applause.
Anyway, one more roll.
Is that?
Bracket.
Is that
Wait,
so
is that what it landed on?
Sam,
Did I just spin?
slouching.
Run ads? Okay.
Hi, thank you for
Well.
subscribing to the Strippin Minecraft Hour, where you'll be watching Rail Bros for hours to come.
All right, one more.
My leg!
Oh no, that's ooh, you hate to see that.
Yeah, it's not
You
the
hate
first
to
time
see
you
that.
sent me nudes. Won't be the last either. Are you recording this?
Hey, thanks for the subscription to my buddy.
You hate to see
Strippin.
that. Mods, let him have it.
Thank you right now.
Open
buddy.
fire.
He's playing a video game, and he's not really good at reading chat. So
Joe, your community's in the wrong part of town right now.
Thanks a bunch.
I'm Sam Strippin. I am. And you've just
It's open
subscribed.
season.
Thanks.
Handsome and funny, he entertains you when you're in need. Upon the streamer Strippin, thy hath bestowed thine subby seed.
They're just
Is that
scattering,
my
dude.
favorite member of the Yogs cast? Oh my god, I love your Minecraft Let's Plays.
Thank you guys. Mr. Sad Happy, thank you for the gift subs. Spadusa, Vicious Penguin, Kaz Mazel, Stichinsky, thank you again. Quistal, thank you again for that 100 gift subs. That's super generous. Thank you so much.
Subscribe.
Strippin, is that my favorite member of the Yogs cast? Oh my god, I love your Minecraft Let's Plays. Poggers!
We're gonna draw an emote from memory.
Ooh, woo. Thanks for the resub.
I'm gonna say from now on that it doesn't have to be
Sam,
one
do
of
you wanna
my
play
emotes.
League?
It can be one of my friends' emotes.
Hey, did he get a sub? Yo, that's awesome!
No one is left to type. Yeah, Rock's really going ham.
Hey, that's not the sub.
Wow, that is certainly a lot of subs. You know, Sam said that if he got
Tomato
like 10
Smile?
more than this, he was actually going to buy sheets for that bed finally.
Okay, Tomato Smile
Wow, that
is
certainly a lot of subs. You know, Sam said that if he got like 10 more than
Like
this,
this?
he was actually going to buy sheets for that bed finally.
Thank you for the sub. We're a step closer to Sam's new fursuit.
Dear God, please make it so Jeff Bezos stops taking half my money every time someone subscribes to me.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, thanks for subscribing.
Such a wet kiss. Okay, here we go.
Oh, bud, is it a sub?
Yeah.
Why did that turn green, bro?
Like subbing, don't you?
Red.
Hi, thank you for subscribing to the Strippin Minecraft Hour, where you'll be watching Rail Bros for hours to come.
Stop.
Okay, green.
Oh
my god. You're the lucky winner. Sam now has to learn a TikTok dance just for you. Let's go, Sam.
Thank you for the sub. We're a step closer to Sam's new fursuit.
Hey, thanks for supporting my friend Sam.
The Strippin sub! The Strippin sub is real!
You can get much higher. So high.
Oh, thank you, Traveler, for subscribing to the Cult of Stormseed. Oh!
Oh, fun! Is it a sub?
Wow, thank you for the show. Oh my god, it's a car! Run!
Howdy. Mom, I just pooped my pants.
Handsome and funny, he entertains you when you're in need. Upon the streamer Strippin, thy hath bestowed thine subby seed.
Okay,
Just a few more.
That's
subs,
my
chat.
tomato
Just a few
smile.
more, and we'll finally get my summer car.
Thanks for subscribing to Strippin Feet Facts. Did you know Strippin has no toes?
You're so gifted. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for the sub. And you're watching Disney Channel. Should I cut that?
Oh, dang. Thanks for the sub. Oh my gosh, did you just subscribe to Sam Strippin? That's so exciting. Wow, you must be so jazzed.
Based and bluey pilled.
Hooray!
Oompa loompa doopity doo.
All right.
I've got another sub message for you. Oompa
Think twice if Chad's holding you hostage. You know damn well they're holding me hostage.
You will never make it out of silver.
Dude, whoever just subbed has a huge heart. Give yourself a round of applause.
Chad, just let me go home. Just let me go home.
Strippin sub!
I don't understand.
The Strippin sub is real!
Velico with 100 gift subs.
So high.
Jesus.
Thank you for subscribing to
Velico,
my dear friend
thank you so
Sam.
much.
He's now going to sing you a
Absolutely
song on
unnecessary.
gratitude. Take it away,
Thank you for your
Sam.
kindness. 100 gift subs is crazy. Rising
Peter,
Stat, thank you for the
the
5 gift
subs
subs
are
as
here.
well. Thank you very much, Velico. So I feel bad for him.
Did you just subscribe?
Where did you find all these rich motherfuckers? Bro, I don't know. Because I don't know where they've been this like whole time.
So it was on
8 years.
Happy subscription.
Okay, gamers, hope you got your diapers on.
Suddenly here they all are, man. Ready
That's not the
to
first time you
contribute
sent
to
me
my
news.
suffering.
Won't be the last either. Are you recording this?
We will never be non-sub.
Thank you for subscribing to my
Look,
dear friend
we're gonna do my
Sam.
summer car now,
He's
okay?
going to sing you a
I'm gonna
song
take a
on
2-minute break.
gratitude.
I'm gonna go put
Take
my
it
Chinese
away,
food in the
Sam.
kitchen, clean up, get some
Based
water, and then we're playing my summer car with tomorrow. I will see you guys in 2 minutes.
Peter, the subs are here.
Hey, thanks for the sub. And you're watching Disney Channel. Should I cut that?
Strippin, is that my favorite member of the Yogs cast? Oh my god, I love your Minecraft Let's Plays. Poggers!
Oh shit, that's right. I should open the game now so that it's ready, right?
They say I'm only brick rap. Well, that's the foundation of this mountain that I live at. I can get you kidnapped. These kids ain't playing with you, acting like you live rap. And all those little mishaps that only happen to you misfits, I'm here to fix that. Yeah.
I told you not to play with the misfit toys. We got in this game, getting sick of your noise. You started with a bad, but you misfit.
Rich get richer while the poor pickpocket. Swipe smacks well till the cops come knocking. Have or have not, being broke is not an option. Time after time when you gotta think for watches. When you the plug in the socket, and the powers that be can't stop it. So obnoxious, borderline toxic. Both sides go to war like a mosh pit. Now let me switch up the optics. Our neighborhoods held us hostage. Some nights we slept in our closets. Gunfights was outside the projects. So you can't blame me for nonsense. I'm here to collect deposits. All else defies the logic. My people need me beside them now.
Take up your grave, make you lower your voice. I told you not to play with the misfit toys. We got in this game, getting sick of your noise. You said you were the bad, but you misfit toys.
Don't play with the misfits. Come play with the misfits. Don't play with the misfits. Come and play with the misfits. I told you don't play with the misfits. Must be deaf, dumb, and blind, you a triplet. Don't you make me erase your existence. All by my lonely, need no assistance. Any disrespect gets met with a vengeance. Burn down gossip and hidden agendas. We set the tone for all to remember. You rewrite history, the greatest pretenders. You rewrite history, the greatest pretenders.
I told you not to play with the misfit toys. We got in this game, getting sick of your noise. You said you were the bad, but you misfit
toys. Don't play with the misfits. Come play with the misfits.
You said you were the bad, but you misfit toys.
In this Gothic underground city, we all sin. If I bring a couple rounds with me, then we all win. I came back and brought the crown with me. The king's can't break your nexus and your neck, cause everybody's on your head.
This might kick your butt, go run them up, then paint my nails. Never learned to raise my hand, was too busy raising hell. Everything I know I am, you should go and save yourself. Thought you had my number, huh? Congratulations, played yourself.
Underground utopia, dynasties in dystopia. Fear is never an option, so time is not a real phobia. I'm beating the odds, rising to every occasion. I never defeated the gods. Switch up the mind, nothing but champions coming. I'm rolling on one of those squad.
Hold still, but like back then. Talk back till I snap back. This ain't brown, this that dark black. This that pitch black, jet black. Snap your ex, watch me give them flashbacks. Pressure's rising fast as lightning, they can't stop it now. If you ain't talking realness, then just change the topic now. They laughing at the top like they can't see the bottom. And they thought I needed help, but I got hit without them. I am sharper than a pack of 100 razor blades. When the smoke clears out of here, but they name go fade. I'ma be here doing it my way. They said I should change it up, but what did I say?
Oh yeah, he mad, I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would swear the sun shining. Oh yeah, he mad, I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would swear the sun shining.
Hold still, but like back then. Talk back till I snap back. This ain't brown, this that dark black. This that pitch black, jet black. Snap your ex, watch me give them flashbacks.
I get that magic all on me, I feel like I'm Tracy McGrady. Enemy circle around me 360, I count them with 8. I've been equipped with the spirit beside me since I was a baby. It's getting chaotic, I made me a product for causing the chaos. Right, you ain't in this Gothic underground city, we all sin. If I bring a couple rounds with me, then we all win. I came back and brought the crown with me. The king's can't break your nexus and your neck, cause everybody's on your head.
Oh yeah, he mad, I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would swear the sun shining. Oh yeah, he mad, I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would swear the sun shining.
and willing to die. Breaking mama heart, now she's starting to cry. Broken beer bottles that are starting to fly. No, my time is coming soon. 7 foot goon line up in a room, kicking up dust in the shadow of doom. Tell me something flare, now I'm starting to fume. I know my time is coming soon. That's when everything went wrong. That's when everything went wrong. I laid out to down, concrete floor. That's when everything went wrong.
Dude, whoever just subbed has a huge heart. Give yourself a round of applause.
Oh, it loaded up. The game's loaded up. Stream is probably delayed now. Do you want me to like stop stream and then reboot stream? Type 1 when you hear this message. Oh, it's not that delayed. Okay, nobody type. I'm gonna type hello. And I'm gonna say hello when I send it, okay? 3, 2, 1, hello.
Sam, stop slouching.
It's only a couple seconds, right? That's pretty delayed. I can end stream and like start it up again. Alright, I'm gonna end stream and then I'm gonna reboot it. Be right back.